Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to our ninth Node.js evening. My name is Marta and I work for DataArt, and together with Cezary, we create those lovely events for you. And we are very happy that you joined us. And tonight we have three amazing speakers, but I will give a voice to Cezary and he will give you the image. What can we expect tonight? So Cezary, please introduce yourself and our speakers.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Marta, and the rest of the awesome DataArt team in the background that makes these events up and running from quite a lot of time. And welcome everyone, developers, and not only developers from Wrocław and from other parts of the world. Please write your cities in the live chat. This is a kind of a special meeting. In the comment I wrote that similar to the Node.js Wrocław 4, because we have multiple presentations. Oh yeah, hello everyone. Possibly in the next meeting we can change formula a little bit, and it's aligned with also my changes of position, because from next month I will act as head of Node.js in the STX Next company. Previously, I was working for more than 4 years at Spyrosoft, and it was really an awesome company. But as said, I am to leave them, I'm also as exciting to the new opportunities that I will have, and possibly also the more time that I can spend on running this community. And here, those three speakers, they have something in common. Basically, they are front-end developers, and they will give their first speech about backend Node.js. So, warm welcome to everybody. And I will move the stage to Marcin. So make a noise for Marcin and the comments, and let's go.
Hi everyone. I hope you're all fine. I will share my screen with you. Okay, so what I would like to give me a moment. Okay, what I want to speak about are the npm packages, which we all, I believe, know and love due to they have significantly increases the code reusability and sharing across multiple projects. I want to emphasize the risks and concerns, stuff that we should be aware of while working with them. Kinds of those concerns are as such. These are the kinds of natures of the problems that we may occur and we may meet during our work with npm packages. By security, I understand a situation when a package creates a threat towards our file safety system, network, or project itself. By functionality, I understand the situation when a package simply does not work, does not do the job that we expect it to do. Module may be considered to be malicious whenever it's creating purposely an issue to our safety. It may do it also in a couple of ways. It may either gather the information from our machine or network and send it to some outer targets. Or it may run some destructive commands during the installation. It may also do both of those things, but I believe from the perspective of hacker creator of such a malicious package, he will ultimately decide to go on one of those paths. what's interesting, data theft. Such a malicious module I'm missing a word. Give me a moment. How to express that? I read that hackers were able to steal from developers' crypto wallets via npm modules. I don't know if there are enthusiasts of cryptocurrencies among our attendees, but for the rest, including myself, it's kind of curio, I believe. Destructive commands, they do not need to be sophisticated and by anyhow, all good. It can be considered as useful. rm-rf/ command is good enough to make quite a mess in a project. Typo squatting. Typo squatting is a form of attack that it is based on naming such malicious module similarly to a so-called legal. By legal, I mean usually quite appreciated by the community and widely used module that has some certain name, and such malicious module is named to be easily to be misnamed with this original one, and is usually installed in the project as a result of a typo made by a developer. Such example may be found here. I don't know if there exists such library as Refacts, but these letters like F and D are in QWERTY keyboard layouts so close to each other, then it's quite possible that somebody could make such typo. And since NPM team is fighting typo squatting, they have implemented a special new naming rules. They implemented it last year or 2 years ago. It's relevant how old that policy is. Anyway, nowadays we cannot simply publish onto the npm package like React Native or React_native or React.native. Because algorithms of the npm would recognize those names as suspiciously having quite in common with React-native, a very popular library, and therefore we won't be able to publish such packages. Although we may still bypass this issue, so from certain point of view, by adding our username with slash after and add before the name of our package, the way we want to name it. And in such scenario, we are able to name it whenever we want, however we want. Since this username is treated as a kind of sign, yeah, that we are signing after on this project, and still it's very hard to take our projects as instead of the other one, yeah. Okay. So also when it comes to the security, both contributors and users, the developers who are only using the packages, we all have our responsibilities. When it comes to contributors, this stuff is very simple. I believe nowadays even children should know those rules. But as I read, there was an experiment when testers tried to and did break onto the accounts of the npm packages creators, authors, very widely appreciated and known, such as React, React Native, or MySQL, and they were able to approve and submit merge requests. You can imagine how potentially risky and threatening that fact was, and this was due to the weak passwords on npm. So we still do need to remember those rules. Developers' responsibilities as such as be careful about what you are typing when installing a package, npm packages, excuse me. Do not copy and paste everything blindly. Use tools that you have to monitor the vulnerability of your packages. And consider using tools like Snyk. Snyk is a platform that helps you to investigate whether a package you want to implement to your project before you implement it, what is important, has its vulnerabilities or not. One more thing, because I briefly speak about many things here. In this presentation that will be shared with you after the meetup, I put some links to the very interesting articles that are having very widely documented examples and cases. I encourage you to give it a try and read it. Oh, exactly. These are these. I don't think that I have anything more to add here. And by functionalities, the situation when a package simply does not work, that doesn't necessarily create a threat to us, but it doesn't work. And I will talk about cases from my experience in Dynact.com. First of all, I want to establish three options how I imagine so far a situation and why npm package is not working as expected. So two of them are kind of similar, but a little bit different still. Newer doesn't always mean better, but in general it is. So in general, it's very good practice to have modern software, modern libraries in project. But sometimes in some scenarios, it's better to wait, but not for too long before update and check make a research about the resources you use. Why? For a second. And the other third scenario is that when in some circumstances when you use one package but in various versions in scope of one project, which is possible, it may create conflicts, and yeah, then you cannot build a production bundle. So first case is our company's website. It has a dependency that is Bootstrap, and its dependency being jQuery. After an update to version 3.5.0, all of a sudden our navbar in our website stopped working on mobiles. I spent quite some time investigating what could happen, and I figured out what happened just hours before jQuery team released a bug fix. Here you can check the appropriate thread, because we weren't, excuse me, the only team that met this issue. Perhaps, of course, after updating the package to the fixed one, the issue was gone. Yeah. So yeah, here is my local local repo with the project. You may see that jQuery is present in the version exactly 3.5.0. The project is running, and here it is, our beautiful website. While it's the width is quite large. The navigation is quite working quite fine, but when this is kind of mobile like view, we cannot collapse it. Yeah, excuse me. We cannot open this navigation tool. And I will upgrade the package to the version exactly the same as the thread from the presentation. Okay, and I will rerun the project. And it should be operational again. And it is, exactly. So such things can happen. Please notice that jQuery itself is quite, let's say, it's not very useful, widely used nowadays library, but still it's rather well known, and even they did release such backed package. Yeah, so it's definitely a lesson to be aware of such scenarios, because we never can be 100% everything is working as just because it's famous as we want it to be working. Okay, why React? Because it's Node.js dedicated conference. Well, it's only, I believe that subject of this presentation is common for mutual or common for all of the JS world, all of us developers who are writing code in JavaScript. React here is an example of a second scenario that I listed just a while ago, when a package of various versions in the scope of one project are creating conflicts that are threatening or enabling us creating a build. It happened to one project of ours when we did extract it. We did extract login system to a logic to an outer scope, to an outer module, because we want to implement it in different projects. And one of them, we after this implementation, we couldn't create a production build because TS compiler didn't allow us. Of course, because of the types. Of React. Of course, the update in the scope of host project of this module did solve the issue. So another lesson here is to always monitor compatibility of your packages that you are making use of. Last but not least, also from the front-end perspective, Webpack is another tool, also very popular. Which is an example of such a case when newer is not always better. In the late months of last year, I was migrating two of our projects to Webpack. I decided to use Webpack in version 5, just briefly released done while or weeks before. It was a bad decision because the configuration stuff did change quite a lot since version 4. I did I spent quite a time to adjust this configs of Webpack, and from my perspective, the documentation of Webpack 5 then, and I was supported by opinions of other developers back then, was not supportive enough. And therefore, Webpack version 4 would be a better version. So lesson from here is whenever you want to implement to your project a tool that is that has both stable and during the test version, and you do want to implement it in a commercial project, you should stick with the stable one. The one during the test is a better choice for the developers who have time and will to experiment with it. And that will be all from my side. Thank you for attendance. And please have mercy in comments. It's my debut as a prerequisite.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marcin. Thank you very much for this presentation. Yeah, the NPM, so initially the Node package manager and its modules is essential for all of the JavaScript ecosystem, not only for the backend, but as well when the front-end libraries are using it. And there are some examples of the problems we encountered there. Possibly there will be the opportunity to show more Dynamodb projects coming to open source soon. We are planning that. For now, just for now, just our website is open source. You can see in our GitHub and GitLab. So, yeah, and thank you very much. And please, if you have some questions, write them down in the comments. Also, during the presentation, feel free to write. You will not interrupt the prelegents. I will interrupt them if needed. So feel free to comment and to ask questions during the other presentations. And okay, one more thing, Marcin, before somebody else will ask. Could you open this link with the Bootstrap issue that you found? We can localize when exactly it happens.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
That one. Because it was really funny that exactly the moment when we discovered.
It was hours before they released the bug fix. Hours.
Yeah, exactly. But they recognize it.
Oh, and one more thing in the subject. I believe that packages like Webpack are very well known for being very frequently updated. Yeah, so it also may be important while talking about this compatibility of versions and so on. Yeah,
exactly. And when you scroll down to the bottom, when it was resolved, that's all the comments out from the 11th of April. A lot of comments. Yeah, but fortunately, yeah, jQuery was released exactly. So the issue was fixed in April, but we still need to wait till May until it was also mentioned here. Oh, there's also so we know when we have this problem 1 year ago, and we're just running our page, and the lesson taken is that do not rely on Bootstrap and jQuery. And also all the other things Marcin says. Okay, the question, could you tell Marcin a little bit more about React? Is it more structured than Vue and Angular based on your experience and reading? So it's about your experience, Marcin, with React and Angular. Which one is more structured? What's your opinion on that?
Which one is more, excuse me?
Better structured.
Better structured. React is very liberal when it comes to architecture. I mean, you can you can construct your application the way you prefer, which is still plus and con at the very same time. It's because with great power there comes great responsibility and so on. Angular is more strict in that subject, I believe, although I don't have much experience with it. React is my core technology. I basically work only in this framework, although it's not a framework per se, but rather a library. I was told and read in other sources that Vue is set to be having best parts from React and Angular. So if you want to, if you are more, perhaps if you are more object-oriented programmer, then perhaps Vue is a better choice. But this is just a shot from my side. I'm not sure. I know that in React, and some people are not satisfied because of that, or they have their counter arguments. React is more and more functional oriented, function oriented. So perhaps that's another argument to go with one or another tool.
So it was discussion from Christina, and she corrected herself. It was about not about how it's structured, but whenever it's secured. I mean,
secure,
right?
Okay.
So do you have something on that? Is it? Because
package itself, yeah. So React as a package. Honestly, I don't know. I believe that all of this stuff, I mean, this security and so on, we are all humans, also the contributors and authors. They always may occur some problem with security in all of the packages. I'm not thinking that Vue, because it's Vue, is more secure than React. But again, I don't have any statistics. It's just my intuition, something like that. So please don't treat it as a, something for sure.
Yeah, there is like one of the modern frameworks that is becoming more popular. So we have, of course, the Angular, React, and Vue, but also the Svelte is runner-up, and this one is dedicated to security. I didn't.
Oh yeah, that's true. I was told about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, and some next speaker came in here. So yeah, I see like no more questions at the moment. So yeah, thank you very much, Marcin. And let's move to the next speaker. So it will be Norbert Szpakowski from STX Next. So yeah, we can say that this one about packages was general about how people are using Node.js everywhere in their projects. And most of the time in Dynamodb, we are releasing the things on premise on the virtual machines of the client. But right now, what Norbert will show is about taking the containers to the cloud with AWS. So yeah, let's welcome Norbert, and the stage is yours now.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. The title of my presentation, Make Friend with AWS and Node.js microservices. My name is Norbert Szpakowski. I am JavaScript developer at STX Next since February this year. Previously, I was commercially programming in JavaScript with SAP UI5 framework. Also went through work as social media specialist and 1 year of studying at Kielce University of Technology. Everything from the beginning took me to this place where I'm happy with my achievements and my dream job that I have. So today I'm going to show you a story from the past that made a front-end developer and AWS and become friends. As it is easy to predict, the easiest way for JavaScript developer to build a backend is learning Node.js, and so did I. The developer also wanted to understand how does the digital world work nowadays, the world of microservices that commands us to split dependencies and reduce technical debt, even if the team used to go fast instead of going good and keep the reasonable speed for the future. So as the title of this presentation assumes, we will be talking about AWS and microservice architecture as they were our friends. Surely not enemies and nothing we would pass by indefinitely. So what are the things or feelings that we connect with person we call a friend? Yeah, he's friendly, but let's find something less straightforward. A friend should support us, give us an advice, but a friend should also warn us or even shout at us when the situation requires that. And other methods seems to just not be fitting. And we'll do this just in order to prevent us from hurting ourselves in any definition on this world, just in order to help us. We'll come back to that later. As we began story with programming somewhere in the past, we were writing code in one file, happily looking at the effects, first hello worlds and truly our calculators. At some point, we realized that we cannot keep doing things this way. Now we know that most of the time spent on development is time spent on reading code. So we split everything, just to make everything easier. Split to separate files, classes, and separate functions. And hey, it looks so nice now. Like, look, you doesn't have to read all the code if you don't want to. I'm doing this, as my function name say. I'm tested to do the job. And the microservice revolution, here comes the time for splitting code into services with single or just more specific responsibility than it was with monolithic architecture. Even if we are going to hurt our code, by the way, ourselves and the people in the future who might want to or need to maintain it, we get the space for our friend to shout, hey, don't touch this container, it has another responsibility. I can help you, but we set few rules we have to follow. That's how we can keep our code clean and split it in the correct way. Apart from scream from our friend, we can also hear a whisper. Man, why are you working with post in the user service? That's not how it works. And changing to the next topic, JavaScript, TypeScript, and Node.js is common choice for microservices. According to blog post from softwarebrothers.co, big companies like Netflix, eBay, or Uber uses Node.js as part of their architecture. Those giants mentioned that it makes their solution fast and scalable, also supports well full-stack development with same language on both sides. Despite the fact that it is handling failure, because as a simple example, if one worker is down, we can just move part of the job to another one. It all works continuously, connected as one organism, or at least it can, of course. Of course, it has some reasonable line that being crossed might break everything. Again, taking inspiration from Josh Evans' talk and at QCon San Francisco 2016, that was about Netflix exactly. The human organism can work without one kidney or one lung, but it will fail without both of them. And also might not work when we connect few breaking defects. As I wanted to write big application with microservices to get started, the last reason was Daisys to take benefits from for me. So let's take a look on my really, really complex organism created of microservices. So what happened here? We've got two services written in Node.js. two databases with MySQL connected to each service. Everything connected to AWS, everything connected to API gateway that is running Apollo server. So to the list of benefits mentioned before, we can add the whole list from GraphQL. That of course doesn't have to be installed on each service. It also ensure security, because we can keep in one place at the API, because of course other services aren't exposed to the outside world. Node services and gateway are deployed with Terraform, and the React app that I didn't mention is deployed via AWS CLI. And of course, we've got a client like a browser that can connect with this whole application via our React app. So let's have a little trip on the repo. Hope you guys see it well. So what we've got there is two services, as we've seen before. It's a listing service and the user one. Also the API gateway. We've got a node deploy folder that is just shared between all services and helps to deploy everything and to not duplicate our code. There is a Terraform config that was really hard for me to set up and work correctly. But now, as it is all done, I can deploy this application just with 4 commands and doesn't have to care about uploading it manually. So as I were writing all of those files, I wasn't sure if it's worth the effort, but now I can see that it doesn't have to care about it no more. I also know that it can be written in a better, more elastic way that might make adding new services easier, but it was just my first experience, as I mentioned. And speaking about Terraform, is going to manage our deploy. And as before we started, I've typed the Terraform apply just to not make you wait and watch for the whole time that it will apply changes. What's interesting there and will be used by us is this public IP for our gateway. We'll use that in our React app. That's the one we will be using. Okay, change. Now we have to build our React application just to make use of that IP. Let's move to the correct directory. Okay, and the first deploy with use of AWS CLI. I specified the script, so it will be just as easy as deploy, hopefully. we can move to the AWS and find the URL for where our app will be deployed. Okay, still deploying. Got it. And as we can see, it won't load this time because our services aren't running and everything is connected. So it can't do anything without the data from the backend. So it's just still waiting for a connection. So let's deploy the rest of our applications, our services. Those are just logs from the Node module, Node deploy folder that I shown before. Okay, let's check a few things now. It shouldn't still be accessible because our API is still down. And let's see if our deployment is in progress and wait till it's completed. Because if we move to the next one without this working, it will be just a waste of time. It succeeded. That's great. So still not access. Let's move to the next other ones. Okay, it probably won't take this long as the React app. Let's take a look on the deployment. Okay, only API still in progress. As we can see, with the use of Terraform, it's really much easier to start Node.js server on AWS. We doesn't have to go into console via SSH and run all the commands, install everything, the dependencies. It will just, as we specify it once, it will do the job for us. Okay, the third one has succeeded, and hopefully now we should have access. Yeah, we have it, we got it. So, just to show you, the password will be shown, just to show that it's clean for now. It's not the instance from the past. We can sign up. So, okay, let's check if we've got a response from the user service. Okay, so here we can see that at least one of our services is working. Now the application has given us access to add the post because if you log out, there is no access. And let's check the second service, and hopefully it is working. And so we've automated the process. That was what I wanted to show you. If you have any question, feel free to ask. I'm here for you.
Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Norbert, for your cool presentation about the microservices. I see one question that was posted, but it's about Lambdas, so I'll forward it to the next presentation. I think we have the mixed order of presentation in the YouTube live stream descriptions. So yeah,
Maybe we're not connected.
Yeah, let's also give some time to the others to ask their questions. And in the meantime, could you maybe show the DynamoDB table structure in the AWS console? I mean, like our audience could be in different level, and like even these AWS portal could be something interesting. Could you maybe go to this DynamoDB table in the
I'm not sure if I can access it this way, if I weren't accessing it this way.
Yeah, it should be. If you found it from this search for services, from this search, so we have here those services in the search for services marketplace up there. Search for DynamoDB. We should be there. Yeah, it's here. It's in the same region. If it is in Frankfurt as well, it should be visible. We have dashboard, and on the left side we should also have the tables. On this left side there. Yeah, when you yeah, there should be tables on the left, and there is.
I'm not sure if because you're leading me to this place, I'm not sure if it was deployed the way you're talking about.
Right.
So
right.
It might be just not accessible from there.
Exactly, it was deployed from the container. So sorry for all the misleading things. So let's get back to the code. Exactly. That was, sorry for this trick. If you get back to the code, to this
what about it?
VS Code, if you can maybe show something more about the Terraform files, because it's really I mean, it's right now becoming a standard in the DevOps, but for developers it could be quite hard. Could you like show on which files you were manipulating? Most of them did you get from some kind of a template, or which one of them were you modifying by yourself here?
It's quite big levels. It was like I was following the templates, because there's so many things to do, and there are security groups that I was changing, because there were some mess, and I wasn't able to access my API gateway. There were two problems, two issues in the internet. One of them was about when you are trying to access your public IP, it's just not giving an answer. It's still loading, and the second one is when you just get the message that the connection is refused. And in my situation, just changing, but let's find the correct security group. Of course, my browser was moving me into the HTTPS via port 443, and I just allowed the API to be accessible via HTTP, via AT. And it ended up with it was ending up with the first issue when everything is just loading and loading. Okay. Can you repeat?
Yeah, you were able to resolve that in the end?
Yes, as I mentioned, it was just because of the HTTPS. I didn't want to change my the security group, right? Because I have to add that and then change it in like 5 probably just more files and add it to the correct service, because of course the other aren't accessible, so those security groups aren't connected with it. And there was also funny one. Also with the security groups, the Terraform didn't find a typo, and was really struggling with that issue for 1 hour. I don't know, it was just a string that it should match, but it wasn't working. So it's also a funny thing. There are like really big amount of okay, not really big amount of files, and you can just end up with a typo and spend most time on that.
Yeah, it's really a thing that it's worth to take care about it. It's not that easy, and I would say it's a very good idea to cooperate with the operations team if you have somebody on the board to do these things together. Sorry for the mistake. This one is about MySQL, not DynamoDB, so that my mistakes from DynamoDB will be in the next presentation. So yeah, that's really nice and cool architecture. It's really nice that it's extendable, and you have some basic services. And when you have those deployments files written here, you have those two services with their databases. You can as well extend it to like any other kind of application. Yeah, so that's really cool. Somebody was pointing that we're showing the Zoom logo here. Yes, we're showing the Zoom logo. We're using Zoom, so that's not visible on the on our Zoom Insight, but it's visible on the YouTube that we're using Zoom. But well, that's also cool. See no problem with that. So okay, so I think it's quite late. We still have another presentation. Yeah, so thank you very much, Norbert, for showing us this AWS stuff. And yeah, that was pretty cool. And let's move to the next presentation. So I'll make a short introduction. So it was like I said, the Dynamodb was to mostly deploying stuff on premise. Norbert showed the things that are happening in the cloud, taking containers to the cloud, and but still running them as Docker, like Docker containers, or Amazon containers. And right now, Anton will tell us something more about the serverless approach, also on AWS, but on AWS Lambda with the serverless framework. So let's go, Anton.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Anton. I'm a front-end developer at CloudCall, but recently I've been getting more into backend stuff. And that's how the topic of my presentation occurred. I started to work with AWS, and I wanted to share my experience with it. So the content of my presentation includes a short description of AWS API Gateway. I'm going to give some info about a really cool framework called Serverless, and I will also show a live example of how this works together and some notes on local development. on local development. I'm not going to go into any details of what serverless concept is or what lambdas are, so I hope everyone has some idea of these things. So API gateway. The official documentation has the following definition, that Amazon API Gateway is an AWS service for creating, publishing, maintaining, monitoring, and securing REST, HTTP, and WebSockets APIs at any scale. So sounds pretty promising. And basically with AWS API Gateway, you can take care of authentication and authorization. For your APIs, you can set limits of your API consumers. You can implement multiple versions of your APIs. You can monitor your API calls. You can cache API requests. And additionally, AWS API Gateway can also generate Open API and Swagger documentation for you, and even generate an SDK for your client. So on the diagram, we can see an example of how API Gateway can be used. So your users are making requests to Amazon API Gateway, which in its turn uses some other services provided by AWS, for example, Lambdas, which then interact with Amazon DB, Dynamodb, and so on and so forth. So just a very simple example of what I'm going to show is an app that uses HTTP requests to request API Gateway, which then interacts with AWS Lambda, and which then interacts with a Dynamodb database. So to help build and deploy serverless applications, there is a framework called Serverless. So now sometimes when you're talking about serverless, you'll need to specify, are you talking about the concept or are you talking about the framework? The major advantage of this framework is that it provides a single cross-provider developer experience. So you can develop your serverless app much easier and then deploy it to any provider you want. So for example, to AWS or to Azure or to any other provider. The configuration for all of this is just in one YAML file, and it allows you to focus on building sophisticated, event-driven serverless architectures. A lot of punch words. compromise the functions and events, right? Not only this, but serverless has also a lot of custom developed plugins which expand its default commands, and they also allow you to develop your functionality locally, even though you're going to deploy it to test it locally, even though you're going to develop it to AWS. So a live example of how all of this works. Recently, I started collecting Panini football cards, just as I did in childhood. As you can see, each card is dedicated to a player. He has some club that he's in, a nationality, his ranking, his name, of course. And I will give an example of how I can use an app, how I can build an app, for example, for collecting these cards and storing them in DynamoDB. So you can clearly see a database structure here that each card is an item in this database with unique names like ID right here under the badge and some attributes with it. So I have already done all the coding so that we don't need to spend time on it. I'll start with the configuration file, as I've said, serverless YAML. Sorry, it's a bit too big of a font for me. It has, first of all, serverless has a lot of examples on their official sites, and they have a lot of different configurations for different AWS services. So I took the template serverless file for DynamoDB configuration and adjusted it to my needs. So it has some parts connected with the provider, with the roles for the DynamoDB table. It defines the resources that are going to be needed, so our DynamoDB table. But the most important part that we're looking at are the function definitions here. So our services. To describe a function, a service, we need its name, path to its implementation. So handlers create and create. And if we want to implement HTTP requests with it, we need to define the path that we're going to use, the method, and there are other settings. For example, you can enable CORS, you can add a special authentication function here as well. So a lot of different configurations that you can see on the official website. Let's see what else. That's all about serverless. Let's take a look at one of the handlers. One of the benefits is that they're pretty small, right? My create function is only 50 lines of code. As parameters, we receive event, context, and callback that needs to be called. Just some simple validation, parsing of our body. And here are the parameters that are going to be used when interacting with Dynamodb. So we retrieve the name of the Dynamodb table from the process environment and the item that we're going to put. So ID of the card, name, team, and rating. And then we just call a method of our Dynamodb with the parameters, error handling, of course, if something happens, and a positive response if everything's all right. So get and list look pretty much the same, even less code, 30 lines here, list. And after you've done all this preparation, all you need to run is the command serverless deploy, and it will give you the following. Here's the command serverless deploy. Under the hood, there's a lot of magic, but basically what you will get is that your servers will be deployed to AWS. Some information about it, and the most interesting part for us is the functions and the endpoints here for these methods. I've taken some time to put them into Postman, the list, post, put, and so on and so forth. So let's take a look at how this works. So if we call list right now, it will return empty because we don't have any cards. Let's post a card. My favorite Manchester United player with a rating of 290, Bruno Fernandes. Let's send. Okay, everything is fine. We got the item back. We can list the cards and see it again. Yep, there it is. We can update the card, for example, if it got better and he got a higher rating, let's say of 292, we can send to update it. Yep, everything's nice. And we can see it as a separate entity with a GET request. There we go, rating, updated rating. And of course, if we trade this card or we just lose it for some reason, we can remove it from our collection. So that's the basic things about this REST, how you can implement a simple REST API with serverless framework. Another topic that I wanted to cover is local development. So sometimes you do not want to upload your service to AWS before you test it fully. Sometimes it takes too much time and you want to try testing all of this locally. And of course, you need some kind of mocking implementation of AWS services. And there are a few approaches to this. The two that I have used is, first of all, Serverless Offline. As I have said, there are multiple plugins for serverless. Serverless Offline is one of these. Whoops, I'm sorry. Serverless Offline is one of these. So it's very useful if we have some kind of simple workflows, like I showed you right here, or just a crude operations, right? And there are also other plugins for it. Let's take a look back at the serverless file in the configuration. Boom, down here. So I was using, for local development, I was using two plugins, Serverless Dynamodb Local, because I'm interacting with a database, and Serverless Offline, and a few lines of code to configure my Dynamodb here. And if we go back to the, and if before that, if we run Serverless Offline start, we will get our service hosted locally with local endpoints. And if we go back to Postman and change our variable API gateway to local host, right? There we go. And try the same endpoints, and they work as well. We can do pretty much the same operations, but all of this is running locally. Another approach to local development is using a library called LocalStack. And the advantages of LocalStack is that it has over, the free version has over 20 cloud APIs mocked in it, and the pro version has over 40. So it's more of a complicated flow when you need, for example, an S3 bucket and then a DynamoDB database and other AWS services. So you would go with LocalStack, and it's one single framework to use instead of multiple plugins. Like I had 2 plugins in my serverless file, and if I need a very complicated workflow, I would need multiple plugins to try to work with, and LocalStack solves this problem. It's language independent, so if you want to move away from the serverless plugin at some point, it's very useful. But there is one major drawback that I found, is that AWS Lambdas will be executed in their own temporary Docker container, which booting up a container and then running something into it and then destroying it, it takes some time. So it wouldn't, if you try to develop this locally, it wouldn't be as fast as just using serverless offline and some plugins. So these are the 2 approaches that I have tried for local development. Here are some useful links in the presentation. I believe we will share our presentation somewhere. And that is all. Thank you for your attention. I think there was a question, right, from previous.
Yes. Thank you for this great presentation, Anton. That was really cool. And also please take your time and speak to the audience to ask us other questions. And right now I can set you that one from Vladimir. It's question. I have a question about AWS Lambda. Is it good if I need to compute some data, but what about data transfer? Is it the right way to use Lambda as a mediator between app and the database?
Well, that's pretty much what I think I've been doing in my example, that I was using a Lambda to store my data that I got from a request into the database. So I would say, yeah, it's a good approach. I haven't mentioned that I'm mostly a front-end developer, so I'm just getting into backend, but this is what I've seen so far, that, yeah, this is how it should work.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's why I also would like to ask about this, if you can show the DynamoDB stuff. So, and it's also nice that the Serverless Offline framework has it available, this nice dashboard. So are you able to show it as well on the AWS?
On the AWS console?
Yeah, or I don't know if you're logged in. If not, then...
yeah, one second, let me check. I don't think I'm logged in, so it would take some time.
So maybe locally. It should be on the localhost 300/shell, I think.
Yeah, one second. 3000 shell. And no, I don't think it's running right now. What about 8000? Yeah, it is. Well, never mind. Here it is. So if I'm running it locally, I have it right now running to show a local example. I have it running in container. So this is our shell. I'm not sure where. So here are the code. Well, yes, basically it has a local development DynamoDB JavaScript shell.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I can also agree on that. Serverless offline is a little bit nicer to work on if you are using it, and you can omit the local stack, because local stack is generic. It's you can use it to any kind of framework, but for serverless framework specifically, it's better to use their plugins. And I see another question from Christina here. Thanks, Anton. I have a question. How you started with serverless, and what advice you can give if I've never touched AWS and Gateway in practice?
How I started, well, there was at my job, there was a task to implement a service, and I started researching what we could do, and with the help of my more senior partner, he advised that maybe we should use this that it's a really cool framework that allows to develop code for different providers. And what advice I can give? Well, basically, there is a lot of good documentation. Serverless Framework gives a lot of good documentation. They have a website. They have, of course, a repository. And I believe AWS has very good documentation as well, developer documentation. So there are a lot of guides and examples that you could look into. Look at the repository, and I think everything would be all right.
Yeah, I think we can also you can also discuss with our speakers somewhere in the Discord channel. So I believe that somebody can answer. So I can also share with you, Christina, the link to the examples that Anton mentioned, because they are really cool. And I mean, it's really awesome with the serverless framework when you can just run it and deploy it, and it works. Yeah.
Yes, because a lot of magic happens using this serverless framework, and you skip a lot of, for example, in our previous speaker's presentation, there was a lot of Terraform stuff, and serverless doesn't include a lot of this deployment files, and I would say it's an easier experience than Terraform from what I've had.
Terraform is nice when you have some specific templates and you're just sharing some settings across the organization, and also those organizations are requiring it. But if you are making some kind of POCs, or you're just starting the project, that's definitely the best way to start, because it's set up everything, the API gateway, and there correctly. So that's really nice. Okay, so we have some questions there. Do we have anything more right now at the moment? So I'll just give you the last 2 minutes for that. And why did you choose the soccer playing trading cards?
Well, I still play soccer. It was a thing I collected when I was a child, these trading cards. And when I came to Wroclaw, I found these cards again, and some nostalgia hit me, and I thought, maybe I should start collecting them again.
Yeah, say even virtually it works. So that's really nice. Okay, so I think that even according to the delay, there will be no more question. So yeah, as I also mentioned in the comments, Norbert was also collecting cards. That's nice. So if you have some time, please join our Discord channel. The link of the invitation is here at the bottom of YouTube description, as well as in the meetup.com event description. So the idea is to play Among Us for a couple of moments. So if you have a moment, join us. Let's see if it works. And I really great thanks to all of the speakers today, because I know each of them personally for some time, and they're really great people that are front-end developers. But they try Node.js and it works, and it's really nice. So it's really, nowadays on the market, it's really great option to become a full-stack developer, because it gives you additional opportunities, and you can better understand the backend developers, as well as you can speed up the development of some solutions. You can help people. So that's really awesome. And I believe that the next Node.js meetups will be in some different form. I don't know if they will be bigger or more often. Let's see what future gives us, but for sure, see you all next time. And thank you very much. Moving voice back to Marta from DataArt.
Thank you very much, Cezary. So I would like to say once again, thank you, gentlemen, for these awesome presentations. And thank you, Cezary, for all your support. And like Cezary said, please do not forget to join our Discord chat. You will find below the link. And let's wait for the upcoming Node.js meetups. Have a great evening, everyone.
Have a great meeting, and see you on the Discord channel. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you, everyone.